basically doing things. Doing things can be really scary, and honestly, when you're doing things, compared to the person next to you, you're gonna have almost, if they're doing nothing, you're gonna have pretty much 100% more mistakes than they do.
Exactly.
So, it can be scary sometimes, which is why.
Lizzie, where are you going?
Well, I mean, it was my idea, and I've never done a class before.
Well, neither have I.
Yeah, but I had the idea, and I helped you find all the notes and the people in history. I mean, I feel like you can take it from here.
But we're supposed to be doing it together.
Well, I can help you at least with the history, people in history part.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's the fun part.
Why don't
anyway.
you start?
All right. So there have been countless examples of people in history who have done things that they're afraid people have criticized them for and said, wow, those people are so stupid, they're never going to get anything done, they're never going to do it.
In fact, it was really hard to narrow down the list because basically, you look at a name, and if it's any more than in your lifetime and you still remember it, they did something and were criticized for something. Because doing things has that effect.
So we put down a couple of those names. So there was George Washington. So lots of people narrow him and Abraham Lincoln down to two of the greatest presidents in the entire world. I'm sorry, in the entire history of the United States. Anyway, so George Washington did a lot of things. So he was the Supreme General of the entire Continental Army. So that gave him enormous authority. Of course, there was still Congress, but that gave him enormous authority and enormous responsibility. Just imagine being the general of a nation rising up against a monarch.
He was fighting for something that wasn't even there yet, a country that was not yet set in stone.
Yeah, he was fighting for the idea of a country. So George Washington was the first general. He established the first U.S. Navy. Just going off of it, he was the only president to have a state named after him. That's pretty cool. He signed a lot of treaties with Indians, which potentially saved thousands of lives. Though I don't think any of them lasted very long. But anyway, he established the first cabinet because of people that he trusted that could advise him, because he said no president can run this country alone. He was the person that came in and took America, and he won the war. And I think he's a pretty awesome dude.
Also, one fact that you missed, he's also the first president of the United States. Which set the precedent for every single president after him. He was the first one, and he did a pretty good job of that. So, next, Columbus. So even to this day, there's a lot of controversy about Columbus. A lot of people were like, oh, look at all the lives he would have saved if he had just never come. And even then, the idea of him going around the world and reaching India by sailing the other way was preposterous. Yeah, exactly. Like, who would do that? In fact, he had to travel all over Europe before he could find funding. He was Italian born, but his own government would not give him funding, and so he had to go to Spain to find funding.
Spain.
Yeah. And he established the first viable sailing route from Europe to America that was safe for travel between the two continents. He was also the first the first European to set foot on American soil.
South America and Central America. He didn't actually he had to send expeditions to North America because he actually landed in South America and Central America.
Also, Europe thank him for a lot of the amazing foods that they enjoy, like
Potatoes,
tomatoes,
corn.
and also turkeys and llamas. There were no llamas, so that's pretty cool.
So yeah, we have so there's lots of examples. How about Galileo? How many of you have heard of Galileo Galilei? All right, so Galileo Galilei was a very famous inventor and astronomist. Anyway, he did a lot of things, including he was also one of the people to voice his opinion that the world was round. Anyway, Galileo, he did a lot of amazing things. He invented the hydrostatic balance, which is pretty much way back then, 1300s anyway. Way back then they weighed metals like gold and iron and things like that. They weighed it in the water. It wasn't a very effective way, but it worked and it had been used for centuries. Galileo invented a sort of the scale. I'm sure you've all seen it. Little stick with the kind of looks like a spoon sticking out on either side where you put it there.
It was used for a long time afterwards.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. And he wasn't one of the modern inventors. He was invented way back in the 13th century, right, Zebby?
Yeah.
And so his ideas we still use today.
Yeah, he invented the forerunner of the thermometer. So that's pretty cool. We use the thermometer all the time today.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
He also invented the first version of the military compass, which that is exceptionally useful. He was the first person to try and prove the heliocentric model, which is the theory that, so all the priests in the church believe the earth is the center of the universe.
Because of course it is. We are the center of the universe.
It's for the greatest beings ever. But the heliocentric model is pretty much a model of, Galileo was half right in his heliocentric model. He made it as the sun as the center of the universe and the planets revolve around the sun.
Obviously, the sun is not the center of the universe, but he got it close, a lot closer than they were before.
Which was a theory that was used for hundreds of years after. But it didn't bring him any favors. But anyway, also, just him being an amazing astronomist, he discovered the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, which is pretty cool. 4 largest moons of Jupiter. Without Galileo.
We would never know the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, which I do not currently know the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, so don't ask me.
Yeah,
But at least
we didn't really want to find out their names and memorize them. So.
Does anybody know the 4 largest moons of Jupiter? No.
Io, Ganymede.
Oh, 2 is very impressive, Philip.
We don't know that they're right.
That's true.
Was that your own question? Yeah.
He discovered the first basic principle of relativity, or the special principle of relativity, which was a forerunner for a lot of Einstein's ideas and for Newton's laws of motion. They based a lot of their research off of
Based
the.
off his work, yeah.
Most people called him the founder of modern science because all the stuff he did, a lot of some of his ideas were used into modern science. So he's a lot of times called the founder of modern science because he started. Who's another one?
Okay. I love Einstein. I think he's my favorite inventor ever.
Einstein?
Sorry, Edison. Yeah, I like Einstein too, but he didn't make it on the list. So, so I chose Edison, and Edison was such an amazing inventor that faced a lot of controversy in his lifetime. A lot of people that said he couldn't do it, but so many of the things we use today are thanks to Einstein. Like, look at that. I mean,
Einstein.
Edison. I'm sorry. Look at the light bulbs. I mean, if he hadn't been around, we'd still be using slightly larger candles, so that wouldn't be as fun. Anyway, he also invented a more modern version of the telegraph and the phonograph, which I think you all know what that is, and also the carbon microphone, which, if anybody doesn't know, it was an early version of the phone. Like, if anybody has one of those old wine phones, that was him. You know, where you put your finger in the button and, anyway, I've got one. But, and also the fluoroscope, which, what was that again? What was that? I think it was like an early version of the X-ray machine, actually. Wasn't it? Yeah. He also played a key role in the film of it, the invention of film, which it was actually, I think, mostly one of his assistants that invented that. And think of all these men that took their inspiration from Einstein and Edison. And took their start. And he gave them their job in science that got them where they are, a place in history.
Einstein was cool too. Alright, so we thought that we should definitely add a biblical character. So
Because they all fit perfectly.
yeah. So we decided we were going to choose Moses. Now, I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar with Moses. His accomplishments are countless. Countless. I mean, a couple of his greatest, there was probably is bringing the law down to the people in a way that they could understand it. Bringing God's law down to the people. He rescued people out of bondage from Egypt, brought the people to the promised land, and honestly, yes, his accomplishments are countless, but try and think how much criticism he would have gotten. You led us to our death right before the Red Sea. Nope. Water part. Anyway, he just did countless amazing things, and let's let Christy do one.
Okay, so this is one I hadn't actually heard of until Daddy mentioned her. And it was a new one for me, but she was such an amazing person. Her name is Nettie Fowler McCormick. And she was the first woman CEO of a large corporation, which is so cool. She was definitely a woman in a man's world. Her and her husband, Cyrus McCormick, lived in D.C. while he was working out some patent issues for his new machinery, which would eventually be their business. What was it called, right?
International Harvester.
International Harvester, which there's still a version of today, actually. And then they moved to Chicago, and there they built up their business. And then the Great Chicago Fire happened, and their whole business was destroyed. Cyrus wanted to give up, he wanted to retire, but Nettie decided that she was going to build the business up even bigger than it was before. After Cyrus died, Nettie turned to philanthropy, and actually, let me see if I can find the numbers. She donated to over 40 schools and colleges, and after she died, she donated over $1 million to other institutions of education. It was said she was also the largest American donor ever to the Presbyterian Church.
Man, all this talk of amazing people doing stuff makes me want to go and just build a tower. Yeah, that's it.
Well, I'm gonna go take a nap. I told you I'm
Okie dokie. Hey, Zayden.
Hey.
Look what I'm doing. I'm building.
Crystal! Look what Zebby's doing! He's building a tower!
You remember the last time he built the tower? Gala had walked by and it fell over.
Zebby, Crystal said that she doesn't think your tower will stand, and that the last time that you built it, Gal walked by and it fell over.
She's right. My tower building's dreadful. Well, I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano. Okay.
Yeah, I hear. What is he doing over there? I didn't think he played the piano. Well, he doesn't, obviously. Please tell him to stop. I'm trying to take a nap.
Crystal says that you're not playing the piano good, and that she wants you to stop.
You're right. I should never try to do this. Well, at least I've always wanted to learn how to yodel. Yodel, lady. Yodel, lady.
Zebby's trying to yodel.
Oh,
Yeah, the whole street has been calling in complaining about our house.
It sounds kind of fun. Yodely lo
Guys, can you please stop? We're gonna get lawsuits soon.
Crystal asked me to please stop. Asked me to please stop because we're gonna get lost. Mommy,
I guess my scared.
love you.
Well, honestly, you know what? I love Christine. She's my sister, but
It's like a pad.
I really like trying these things, and I'm not going to let her words tear me down. And I'm gonna get so good at them. I think I'm gonna have a try at my tower again.
He says that you can't tell him what to do, and that he is not, and that he's gonna keep trying things even if you tell him not to.
I have always been supportive of his ideas. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, I was only trying to help him. His tower was a public menace. It was gonna fall on somebody. See, then he would have been in trouble and he would have felt embarrassed. And I'm there to protect him from that. And his piano playing, like honestly, I mean, everyone knows that I'm the piano player of the family. Like, he's always going to be compared to me, and then where will he be? He'll be discouraged and sad, and he's yodeling. That was just, I'm sorry, that was just.
Crystal says that that she was trying to help you because your tower would have fallen on somebody, and then you would have felt bad, and then you would and then she says she's the piano player, and then yodeling, and then she said that's just bad.
All right. Well, Christy, thank you, but I built an awesome tower, and I think we have something we need to get back.
Right. Well, please spare the tower. Well, you know, all these people we were talking about, they weren't really that great. You know, I could tell you of tons of things that they did wrong. You know, I mean, Zebby, start with yours.
Okay, let's see. Washington. Oh, come on. Was he really that great? Really that great of a guy? I mean, come on. He lost lots of men. He was defeated 10 times to every one victory of the
And he
British.
kept just running away.
Just running. Defeat. 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 Come on. What a silly guy. Hardly won anything.
Except for the war.
Except for the war. But, man. I mean, he kept choosing his generals, and then, kaboom, they would betray him. There was like Charles Lee ran like 48 miles away from
47 miles before anybody could catch
Benedict
him.
Arnold.
They won the battle.
Benedict Arnold, a traitor. I mean, come on, Washington needs to choose his guys more carefully.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, he even tried to sign it. He signed an import tax for whiskey.
That sparked riots all over the country. Everybody was like,
No, we're just not done with taxing.
yep. I mean, they tried to destroy our tea, and we shouted about it a little bit. They tried to take away our whiskey,
And then he's like, nope, we're not gonna go into the French Revolution. Our country's too flimsy.
and everybody's like, but
What?
they helped us.
Yeah, and we promised. And Washington's
we
like,
promised King Louis that we'd help him.
and Washington's like, no, King Louis's head is chopped off, so.
He's
So,
no longer there. Yeah. So, anyway, a lot of really.
yeah, Washington, come on.
And don't even get me started on, wait a second, Christopher Columbus. Now, let me tell you, his life was actually really sad for everybody around him. He sails to America. Halfway there, the wind dies down. They're stuck in the middle of the ocean, his entire crew. And they're like, why did you even take us on this impossible quest to
Yeah, why
find...
did you take us even on this impossible quest? We're gonna die in the middle of the ocean and a shark's probably gonna come up and bite our ship or something.
Or they might starve and thirst to death. That's possible.
Or we're probably gonna run off the edge of the world.
He was barely able to keep them from mutiny. I mean, it's kind of impressive that he was able to keep them from mutiny, but he was barely able to keep them from mutiny. So, and then he got to America. And do you know what happened? He transmitted diseases.
Yeah, and 90% of the Native Americans in Central America died within 150 years of the Europeans arriving.
I mean, it would have been better if he was never born, really.
Yeah, what
Wouldn't
a
it?
wicked man.
And maybe he didn't know that they would transmit diseases to people with a low immunity, but he should have never gone in the first place. It was something new, unprecedented, and everybody was telling him not to.
Alrighty, let's do it. Galilee. Hi. Who on earth Galilee? Naughty.
He got himself killed.
Yeah, he proposed that the earth was not the center of the universe. What a treacherous man. I mean, he was lucky. He almost got burned at the stake. He was like,
Very close. Yeah.
very close. Like, I mean, Galilee almost got burned at the stake. And, yeah, that's just horrible. All of Galileo's silly inventions. Ugh.
And he
I
still
mean,
got
I
the
really
science
don't-
wrong.
I really don't think it was worth it. Do you?
No.
But, I mean, take Edison.
Edison.
Do you know how many times he failed before he succeeded at the light bulb?
Like 2 million?
A little less than that, but close. It was close. I mean, why did the guy give up? I mean, is that really that great? He already had forms of light.
Yeah, we already had chandeliers, candles hanging down and
I
everything.
know, and then it was expensive. I mean,
Very
was it really worth it? Going into modern science is scary. You never know what you're gonna get. I mean, we're facing that problem now. And did you know that in one of Edison's inventions, he was experimenting and he was exposed to the rays. I think it was of that X-ray machine, actually.
Yeah.
And
Him and his workers were both exposed. And
Worker, one of them.
assistant.
And actually, his assistant later died as a result of that, and he almost lost his sight. Can you imagine the guilt you'd have to live with? He must have had really strong belief in what he did, that what he did was worth it, right?
But instead of just stopping his dangerous inventions, he just like, okay, no, I failed this. I'm gonna quit this X-ray, but I'm going to keep inventing.
And he did.
Moses. Oof. Okay. Was he really that great of a guy? He was an Egyptian. Well, he wasn't really, but he was brought up as an Egyptian.
Pretty sketchy. He could be a traitor. How
traitor.
could they trust him?
A villain.
That's the question. How would they trust him?
I mean, he brought plagues upon Egypt, and thousands of people died. Newborn, innocent children.
And it was all him.
All his fault. What a treacherous guy. And people by taking them into the wilderness and taking them against the Red Sea.
No wonder they built the golden calf.
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Having some guy like that to lead them, they needed a nice golden calf to help.
It could lead them way better out of the desert.
Yeah,
It was way faster.
way quicker.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have taken 40 years with the golden calf at their head.
Yeah, way more beautiful. I mean, making that crack that swallowed up Israelites. Ugh.
And think about Nettie Fowler. What business did she have in a man's world? Her husband could have hired somebody else. Hey, he might have not built it to where it was, but it was none of her business. She should have been at home caring for her 7 children. It was none of her business being out there building one of the largest
Corporations.
yeah, machinery corporations. And what was she doing out there? That's the question. Why? Because she believed in her cause.
All these people believed in what they were doing, and they knew that they could do it, and they kept trying. They did not allow people saying, those people are so treacherous. Those people are leading us into disasters. Those people are failing over and over again. Why don't they just give up? Because they believed in what they did. And yeah, that's how Edison came to build the light bulb after 1,000 failed attempts.
Or more than that.
That's how Galileo stated his opinion that the Earth was not the center of the universe and nearly got burned at the stake for it. All these things is because they believed.
In what they were saying. And they believed in their cause. And if you're working on something that's difficult
It's potentially impossible.
and you don't think you're good enough, remember that it's important to believe in your cause. It's important that your cause is important to you. Okay, so we're passing out sticky notes, and I would like you all to write down one thing that you really want to do. One thing that seems impossible and that you've been wanting to do for ages, but it's just not working for you. And one thing that you've done that you're really proud of. It can be small. Doing anything is scary for the first time. It's unprecedented. However much smaller Galileo's discovery seems than Edison's, he set the precedent or the foundation for scientists to build on. Keep passing out notes. Sorry, guys.
Everyone write their dreams in crayons.
It's a good way to do it. Edison, I have failed. I'm sorry, I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that it does not work. There's a lot of really
Edison, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. And the most certain way to succeed is to always try one more time.
Edison, many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up.
Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So always prepare to work hard.
Churchill, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm.
Churchill, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Okay, no, this is a funnier one.
We were just wanting to make sure you were all awake.
Okay.
You're drunk. And what's more, you're disgustingly drunk.
Well, you're ugly, and what's more, you're disgustingly ugly. And when I wake up tomorrow, I won't be drunk. But when you wake up, you'll still be ugly.
Okay, sorry. Churchill, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is courage to continue that counts.
Roosevelt, complaining about a problem without proposing a solution is called whining.
Roosevelt, and this is one of my personal favorites. Far better is it to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in a gray twilight that knows not victory or defeat. So Zebby, what do you do when somebody that you really respect and love is giving you advice that might seem discouraging to your dreams?
Listen, actually hear what's being said. Others have a perspective that we do not, and often they see a perspective that we cannot. Assume good intentions unless proven otherwise. Assume good intentions, no matter what input or criticism is. People's intentions are usually always out of love.
Do not get defensive and start making excuses. Defense is the first act of war. It's true or it's not. It's helpful. It's not. It can look like it can be looked at objectively. And it does not need your defense. Don't take it personally. If we're working on something or creating something that is important to us, it can often feel like criticism. That the criticism is about us personally, but it's not.
See criticism as help. Often when we are doing something that inspires people to come to us with their opinions, it feels like overstepping because this project is our baby. In reality, we are usually making or creating that project for others to enjoy. In that input, it can be looked at objectively as encouragement and not as discouragement. And this is a huge asset.
Don't be too hard on yourself. If we waited to do things until we were perfect, or the situation was perfect, or we didn't move forward with something until it was perfect, nothing would ever get done. Whether other people's input situationally has value or not, your outlook on your goals and yourself has value. Keep going. The biggest danger.
Keep going. The biggest danger with people's criticism is that you'll get discouraged and stop. God has given us all individual talents and dreams and inspirations. And if we ignore those and stop because somebody hurt our ego, we are doing ourselves and those around us a great disservice. So keep going.
Thank you guys so much. This was really fun to plan and we learned a lot.